Hello everyone, Diego here. On the last video I talked about um, remakes, whether we should or should not have them. And during the topic, I made a comparison, and I also made a comparison with me. As I said, I did wrote a story or two that I can remember of. Um, One I get inspired on the game Tony Hawk Underground. So I had my characters. Um, the storyline went as CC, the main character, wanted to be a female pro skater, but her dad opposed to the idea because it was a dangerous thing to do and people really get hurt. So he wanted her to be uh, um, an actress, but her mind was set up on being a skater. So that idea came up. I had the story, took it to a good friend of mine because he's good at stories and drawings. Man, this guy's genius. Um, he checked it out and he goes, "Dude, basically you're rewriting Tony Hawk." Tony Hawk. I'm like, yes. Well, the thing has to do with the thing of the story had to do pretty much with Tony Hawk Underground. That didn't meant that I was actually doing the same thing. So I was disappointed um, for quite some time. I stopped writing. I tried to get ideas, and I tried to write again. And the second story I remember writing about was about a girl who becomes a priestess, um, and that didn't. I mean, I wrote it, and it was a um, it was actually a good story. I can't believe I lost it, but the story centers on a young girl. Actually, there was a man named Jonathan. He was pretty much drunk after losing his wife. He didn't he didn't care much about his family. Uh, and then two sisters. Um, the older sister uh, was chosen to become a priestess. She had um, she had to decide whether she was going to stay with her family or not. And the reason why Jonathan was mad at the priestess and he opposed to that idea was because um, there was one incident where where the priestess has ridiculed him in front of all the people. Anyway, she does make her mind up. I forget the name of the old elder daughter, but she becomes the new priestess. Some years had passed by, and then she returns, and her dad was pretty much mad and didn't want to see her because of the fact that she had become the priestess. priestess. Um, and a lot of things had happened since then. So one day, I mean, the dad used to take off, return home half drunk, and he would um, have discussions with her daughters. But one day, something really happened. He disappeared, and um, after a long search, they find out that he was at the hospital. Um, and his last words were, "Please forgive me, I was wrong." So that's the tale of the priestess, and I went into other things like drawing, drawing things. That didn't work for me. I started doing jewelry, which I stopped for now because I have I have quite too many things going on, and there's one more thing that I got into, but that it's not gonna be mentioned. Um, but I also uh, I'm into gaming, movies. Um, Recently, I tried, or a couple years ago, I tried to write my own songs. The problem with that is, well, it was hard to think about something. I remember before, a couple years before that, I got quite a few songs from anime, and um, and some of them I wanted to try to do my own translations to the song, and there was one really good song that I actually liked. Um, I can think of the name right now, but it's from um, the anime of uh, El Hazard. Oh yeah, I think it's called Fence of Defense. Anyway, that song I still remember it today, and I haven't heard that song from like years ago. I mean, I have I haven't even seen the anime in a long time, and I still remember that song. So at times I try to borrow or listen to songs and try to come up with something. Um, but um, anyway, that was basically this was just to clarify, or have you guys known what I meant when I said on the last video that it's like me writing stories. Um, But like I said on the previous video, um, is that in order that something turns as good as a remake, there has to be some chemistry, and I truly believe that it should. Um, so that's it, folks. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, drop those in. I'll be happy to read them and I'll answer back to you um, as soon as possible. If you have ideas for challenges, you can drop those in too. And um, as I always say, uh, take care. And this is Give us signing off. Peace out.